Hi, very good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your program.
Thank you for agreeing to be here on this program. We've named this program called In Tune. In tune for us is in a lot of ways in tune with self, in tune with the other person, in this case you and I, in tune with what's happening around. And we thought that, coaching is a lot about being in tune with self, with the environment, with being in third level and all of that. So welcome to the podcast named In Tune, and how opportune it is to have the first ever In Tune podcast with none other than yourself. So, Magda, in the next few minutes, we'll be talking about what is ICF's global vision. What is it that you want for ICF to achieve globally? We would also want to delve a little deeper into how do you see India, India incorporation. What are some of your priorities for India? So let's jump in and jump into the first question or the first topic for discussion. Is tell us more about what is your vision for ICF Global? What are some of the priorities that you're charting for yourself for which the team, along with you, is taking accountability to achieve for ICF?
Thank you. Thank you again for inviting me to this podcast. Congratulations on your award, of course. And what a wonderful theme or a name for the podcast. It is so important for all of us to be in tune, as you said, with self, with the environment, with the planet, with what we try to accomplish as individuals and as organizations. You're asking about ICF, International Coaching Federation. Well, we'll be celebrating our 30th anniversary next year, and we're quite proud of what the organization on behalf of the profession already accomplished in the world. And we've been guided all the way with our vision. And that vision is that coaching is integral to transforming societies so they thrive, transforming societies so they live in peace, transform societies that they are paying attention to all the elements and all the facets of who we are, where we are, and what we do. So the vision for ICF remains, it's mine, it's the board's, it's the organizational vision for the organization, is to truly, through coaching, empower individuals, empower organizations, whole systems, perhaps regions and countries, to do better, to live wherever we are in our life or profession, a better place than where we started, to be able to connect and to be able to truly reach the highest potential for, again, individuals and organizations alike. When we see the transformation, you saw it for your organization, when we see the transformation coming with the power of coaching, we can't help but smile, because it is just a different space, and a space where we find room for each other, for innovation, for creativity, and for diversity, quite frankly. When you ask about India, of course, being, well, the most populous country in the world right now, with such a growing economy, constantly growing economy, and already such a large one, has a phenomenal place and space as far as coaching and delivering the promise of coaching is concerned. And I'm so delighted to see organization like yours to engage with coaching. For that reason, you are a role model. You are amongst other organizations in India, and fortunately a growing number of organizations in India that are embracing coaching as the human-centric modality for a success of the organization. but people first, humans first, and that's our vision for India. We're investing quite a lot of attention in India, partly because we see quite the upswing of the awareness of coaching in India and a more systemic application of coaching in India.
Thank you, Magda, for bringing in the element that when we say coaching, it's just not limited to organizations or individuals individually. Thank you for touching upon the fact that through the coaching initiative, it's actually quite, let me use the word responsibly, easy to transform communities and societies. Because when even an individual changes, the environment around that individual well. And what we believe in this organization and otherwise is that through coaching, and probably coaching is one of those very few tools that we have or skills that we have, which can truly elevate the person of who the person is today versus what the person can become, and realizing the true potential. And many such individuals put together collectively then becomes a community, then becomes a society. So it's great that ICF is pursuing on that path through different collaborations and partnerships and working even in the space of social and sustainability responsibility and truly making an impact and the world that we're living in today, Mark, there's so much needed that there is someone who holds space for me when I'm as an individual when I need it, for an organization when the organization needs it, the larger society or communities that when they need it. So this way more than just the little bit that some of the organizations like ourselves do the space, because the play field is just so large and just so wide.
Sure.
Sometimes we feel that can actually envision a lot more than we are envisioning right now and the zone of impact. But nevertheless, since we are who we are and since we do and since this is our priority and there's a chosen field and stuff. So yes, and thank you for also acknowledging the Indian corporation and organizations who are truly taking a lot of strides to democratize coaching, to bring the culture of coaching within the organization, percolating down the hierarchy of organization, making sure that they create role models within the organization and truly assess the impact, the huge impact that coaching can have. And we've also realized with our little initiative that we've done that there is a spike of impact immediately after the program is culminated or while the people are going through the curriculum. But we've also, because it's been like a couple of years that we're into it, but we're seeing that the impact of it lingers on, and they show up in such crucial times, especially when there's a transition in the organization, when there's a transition in leadership, there is a shift in the way the business was being done. That's when we are seeing leaders are stepping up. And all these leaders who are stepping up and rising to the occasion are the ones who've gone through the coaching intervention.
That's fantastic to hear that. That's really fantastic to hear that. And what we know from the research, but also especially from fantastic testimonials, is that what coaching does so beautifully is to allow an individual to be more self-aware. And when you know self a little bit better, then you can tap into that potential, exactly as you said, when needed, and when this is really most either needed or where it is more crucial for the success of the organization. We talk a lot about resilience. We talk a lot about empathy. They not often go hand in hand. And yet, when you do have the self-awareness of yourself and of the system that you exist within, then working with the coach and having the experience of working with the coach again allows you to be able to reach those layers of reserved energy and reserved, frankly, wisdom about yourself and the system, so it can be deployed in a very different way. So I'm thrilled to hear the little anecdote that you share with us.
Magda, on a different note, often coaches talk to each other saying, coaching is still a very first world skill and a first world profession and things like that. While my personal belief is nothing to do with that. But I'm very keen for you to give a little perspective to the audience about India is still an emerging market as far as coaching is concerned, and there's a lot that can happen. But what would be some of the things that you would want the Indian corporations to prioritize to further the agenda, which you just said, that an individual realizing the higher potential, an individual showing up, thereby means that the organization also performs better. So what do you think some of the things that you would love for the Indian corporation to prioritize as far as bringing coaching as part of their culture, or if they already have, then to amplify that pillar?
You already partly answered that question in your description of your own organization, that being that in your organization, coaching is not reserved only for C-suite. Coaching is not reserved only for the highest level of executive management. Rather, coaching is accessible to people throughout the enterprise. And that's something that we see globally as a phenomenal way of democratizing coaching, simply because people who otherwise might have not known about coaching perhaps wouldn't think they need or want coaching, and conversely, they may think they cannot afford coaching, are exposed to it. And when they see the power of coaching, then their opinion often, as you know, change, and they are seeking different ways of tapping into coaching. So I think that especially corporations, organizations, really, when and if they are offering coaching or making coaching accessible to people throughout the enterprise, that's one of the elements of a strong coaching culture. That's bringing coaching to the greater populations and giving them the ability to see the power of coaching. With that, I also, because there are many initiatives that are bringing coaching pro bono or at a very reduced price to different communities, organizations, and individuals, this is where the corporations can have their hands as well. That could be a way of feeding or paying forward or feeding forward. Maybe not coaching itself, although when you have a cadre of internal coaches, that could be a community project. But it could be a community project that allows people to work on whatever they want to work on, but they are already empowered by working with the coach before, so they are delivering whatever is needed in that community in a different way, and hopefully in a way that it's more sustainable and impactful.
Interestingly, you talked about feeding forward, and I was having a conversation with a group of leaders last week. Some of them are going through the curriculum, and of course, there's a huge excitement about them applying for the ICF, CKU, and then they are in anticipation that they will clear, and then they'll become full-fledged ICF certified coaches. But what was interesting about the conversation, apart from this, was that each one of them said that they were raring to coach more people. Because they have felt so fulfilled, having received what they received from their coaches during their coaching curriculum that they now want to give it forward and give it to more people. I mean, what better than something like this group coming together and saying that we want to put forward to be it? And isn't that a beautiful way of creating more awareness? Because even if I'm not aware of anything, but just the fact that somebody's there is benevolent enough to offer something to me, and then I receive it and I see the difference that it makes for me. I mean, it is far, far higher than creating any structure or framework to create awareness anywhere. I think that's the beauty of coaching in general when people receive it and when they see the impact there.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we keep talking internally in HDFC ERGO is also that, of course, we are going through our own group of ICF journey, but what do you think we can? What would be a suggestion to an organization like ours to build on the initiatives that we've taken, so far, so that it becomes sustainable, and we're not just in the initial euphoria of having had bunch of certified coaches and then, oh, this is so good and we won an award, that's amazing. But how do we make sure that we sustain it and then more and more people join, this and make it their priority? What would be your suggestion?
So again, you're so beautifully answering the questions you're asking. You said make it a priority, make it a line in a budget, so it doesn't disappear when the champion of the program may move somewhere else in the organization or may move out of the organization. Create more champions for the coaching initiative is probably something which is happening, because as you said, people, they are already coaching in the organization, they want to do it more. But tying coaching, in our experience, tying coaching to the strategic goals of the organization is what makes it becoming a really part of that strategy. So it is not add on, it is not nice to have, it is not let's coach when we have time, but rather it is an integral part of a strategy for the organization. And not only HR, and I don't mean it lightly only, it's not talent development alone, it's not talent management alone. Talent management is and HR need to be a part of a larger strategy. It has to be a part of a larger strategy, and therefore coaching, when tied to the well-established goals of the organization, becomes a part of that strategy. There could be a KPI specifically aligned or assigned to the coaching project as well. And again, from our research, one of the elements of strong coaching culture is having that dedicated budget to coaching. And then we all know our finance people, they're lovely and they want to see results. So it is important to have a measurement system so that effectiveness of coaching can be actually observable, not necessarily immediately in the bottom line, in the financial results of the organization, although it is not that difficult to translate the impacts of coaching into that bottom line. Say you have more, you have happier workforce. They stay. You don't have to recruit. You retain. Retention is so much cheaper than recruitment. You maintain your brain power and institutional memory within the organization. People perhaps are more engaged. We hear all these stories about lack of engagement in a workforce, right? But also, especially with a young country as India is, I mean, demographically, recruitment of talent is also so much different when you can show the purpose that the organization fulfills, and that coaching is part of that equation.
You introduced two important words to us. Actually, you said about purpose and you also talked about measurement. And so important because usually it's a very victorious feeling to initiate something that is something new about it, and there's a lot of adulation for people who do that and stuff like that. But what really builds credibility, like you rightly said, is that when we really measure the impact that it is having,
Yeah.
and we create a culture of measuring that impact on sustainable basis, and obviously tie it to the purpose of the organization, which is far bigger than just about making money or making revenue.
Exactly.
So much more. On just a closing note, and I have just one more question for you very quickly before I get to that. We were talking about something else about investing in diversity, inclusion, and equity and stuff, which is also emerging as such a large pillar. But somebody said it very beautifully. They said, what? A decade ago, there wasn't so much awareness of inclusion. So even if people did some initiative or they did something, it was sporadic, and the
Yeah.
impact of which obviously is not felt organization today. But we should not miss the bus now that there is such awareness, so that when people hand over organizations to the next generation of leadership, they can look back and see, what, those guys did something right, and see what we've got. And I feel a similar thing about coaching, that if organizations invest today, leaders become more mindful about introducing coaching as a culture, then they're leaving an organization which for tomorrow, for the young leaders, which is invested in the right kind of culture. My last question, Magda, being the mentor coach, what are some of the things that you personally would have enjoyed in your coaching journey, and you can share it so that the people who are in that journey of in whichever way can add that element of enjoyment in their journey as well.
Oh, it's a long one. It's a long one. Um, yes, I am professionally trained coach. I'm systemically trained coach, which I think is another dimension of coaching, which is so powerful. I would not identify myself as a coach. I would say I'm a leader using coaching skills. There is a difference in there, because although I am using the most important core coaching competencies in my conversations and in my management of my team, I have to be very cognizant of the fact that I cannot forego my management and my leadership responsibilities. There are times that I have to make a decision. We can have all beautiful conversation, including input from everybody, but at the end, the decision has to be made, and I have to make that decision. There are times that, my team and I are not looking eye to eye completely, and that's okay. But what I'm trying to do every day as a leader is to be curious, is to ask questions, is to listen for different ideas, is to invite that diversity that you mentioned to the conversation, and is to make sure that people know that they are heard. Some of their ideas will not be implemented, and I'll be happy to explain to them why not. But they need to know that they are not only permitted, but they are invited to experiment. They are invited to be innovative, even a little bit on the crazy side. Crazy is good, because you never know when something that on the surface looks like something absolutely unattainable is like, why wouldn't we try that? So I think that especially I think curiosity in leadership and ability to invite diverse voices is crucial. I Running ICF is a pretty much full-time job. Well, not pretty much, it's a very full-time job. I do coach occasionally, always pro bono and always women in not-for-profit organizations, because I do believe in not-for-profits to start with, and I certainly believe in women leadership. So this is my little feeding forward with my abilities and my training as a coach.
Thank you for sharing that personal bit, and also inspiring all those leaders who want to use coaching skills in their leadership. And what a powerful skill it is to
Oh, yeah.
shine and also bring in different dimension in the discussion. Like you rightly said, that inviting diverse voices, not everything with the knowledge that not everything will be implemented, but just the fact that it allows that skill to the person as a leader to be able to invite everyone's voice across the table. And also to say that not necessarily that everyone who becomes a coach needs to be a full-time coach, but can be a full-time leader using coaching and also inspiring the people who want to do pro bono coaching and truly impact people's lives. Everything is possible. Thank you for inspiring to say that as we expand the table, we start to see opportunities everywhere. So coaching is just not about making a difference in the organization, but we started saying it's about making a difference in one's own self and individuals around. So thank you so much, Magda, for this beautiful conversation. I wish it could continue to go on, respecting the audience attention time. Hopefully we'll get together once again and talk more about how you feed forward your coaching, you yourself as a coach and what you do in the pro bono space. That's for another day. But as of now, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us and agreeing to do this.
Thanks again for the invitation, and thank you for what you do in your organization through coaching and with coaching.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.